And now let's kickstart Market Fatafat by highlighting the big movers and shakers today in trade. We have with us Pranay Jain, Kunal Bothra on the technicals, and Swati Hodkar from Nirmal Bang as well joins in on the technicals. Good morning to all of you, and let's kickstart the show with the very first stock, that's HCL Tech. What a massive downtick witnessed today in trade. Revenue guidance in line with expectations. Of course, margins was a bit precarious. The margin guidance given for FY20 was a tad bit below what the market was expecting. But all in all, it was a clear-cut case of being a mixed bag when it comes to the fourth quarter. Of course, inclusive of the IBM acquisition, the revenue growth guidance was in line with expectations. But Credit Suisse has maintained an outperform. They are seeing organic growth led by weak margin outlook. And Deutsche Bank has a buy with an 11% increase in the target. But stock price, of course, big loser. Top Nifty loser, in fact, today in trade. Kunal, IB housing, lots of volatility witnessed in the entire IB group. What are you observing today in trade?
So yeah, Mubina, and surprisingly, the stock is forming a bullish divergence pattern on the daily as well as on the especially on the hourly charts. Look at the last 5 days or 6 days approximately. The stock was holding on to that 670 mark. There were almost 6 or 7 attempts towards breach of those levels. But on each of those attempts, the stock apparently has made a higher bottom in terms of indicators. And when you generally see such kind of a pattern where stock holds on to a support and the indicators generally move up higher, the stock eventually follows the indicators. And which is why I believe Indiabulls Housing, which has rallied almost 2 or 3%, today 3% so far, I think has room for another 40 rupees higher from current levels. So I think 740 could be a possible target on Indiabulls Housing. Keep a stop loss at 618, look to go long.
All right. So that, of course, is Indiabulls Housing for you. Pranay, another result reaction is coming in from Asian Paints. It was not a good set of numbers, and brokerages too are a bit circumspect.
Well, yes, particularly CLSA, which is recommending a sell straight away, and the target that it has set is 1285, which is about 6-7% downside from the current levels. They highlight the cautious management outlook after the weak Q4 results. But what Jefferies mentions over here is that the Q4, while it was a miss on all counts, they see it as a short-term blip, and being the strongest player in its industry, they believe that recovery will show in numbers. Second half, obviously not as strong as was the estimate at the start of the quarter.
All right. And yeah, I think what's particularly concerning is the fact that the management said the near-term outlook is uncertain when they are in the midst of a capex. So I think that's something as well that has spooked the street. Swati, DRL, interestingly, has been seeing red on the screen for some time now. Today as well, it continues to decline. What's your outlook here?
See, Mubina, the overall outlook on the Dr. Reddy has been definitely positive. The fact that it is just trading in the higher tops, higher bottom formation, which indicates that it has a potential to move upside at least about 2950 odd levels, which is come to its 52 weeks high as well. I believe once it manages to give a breakout of 2950, upside 3040, 3050 can be seen. At the current level, 2800 is acting as a very strong support levels on the daily chart. So those who are having any long positions, definitely they can hold on with a stop loss of a 2800. I'm looking for a target of 2950, 3000 levels on the higher levels.
All right, that's the view on DRL. Let's move on to another Nifty company, RIL, that has been in focus for some time now. Not this time around, however, it's not because of the downtick witnessed in the stock price or the MS downgrade, but because of the bounce we are seeing in the stock. Now, interesting news coming in, particularly in the retail side of the business. First up, Reliance Brands is going to be acquiring British toy retailer Hamleys from Sea Banner. That's an interesting development that has taken place, and I wonder what's their rationale, because we already had Toys R Us filing for bankruptcy. So yes, let's see how Hamleys essentially does for the Reliance Retail brand portfolio of brands. And then today's ET reported that Reliance Retail, Future Retail of course, and many other PE giants are actually among companies looking to acquire clothing major Pepe Jeans India. So Reliance certainly seems to be in full buying mode at this point. Okay, quick break right here on the show. We'll try and squeeze in as many stocks as possible when we return. This is Market Fatafat. Welcome back. You're watching Market Fatafat on ET. Now, Kunal, yesterday and today we've seen a bounce being attempted by Zee Entertainment. What would you recommend viewers do with this stock?
No, so this is very interesting chart, Mubina, because in the last 5 days or 6 days, the stock has gone through a V-shape trend, and it's going on through those thick of news flow. So it's very interesting to observe the chart patterns. 3 days back or 2 days back when the stock was falling. It was falling on heavy volumes. There was a lot of news flow around. The stock corrected from almost 393, 400 levels to sub 330 or 340 levels. So a sharp fall, high volumes generally indicates that maybe the stock is going through some bit of a downfall. But when you look at the counter reaction, the last 2 days or 3 days, we've seen the stock stabilizing. The support of 330, 340 is now a very strong support zone because we've tested those levels twice in the last 5-6 months for the stock. So I believe that there could be a case of a turnaround for the stock even from current levels, and that sharp selling which has happened on the back of fresh shorts, that should get absorbed. The stock should move up higher from current levels. I would expect that maybe as a high risk play, traders could look at a 385 to 390, which was the previous high, as a target on Zee.
All right. Well, moving on to the next sector, the OMC space, which has, of course, seen volatility reign supreme on account of the rapid movement in crude prices. Pranay?
Yes, and crude continues to remain volatile. You've seen Brent rising to about $70.50 per barrel now. That's a good 1.8, 1.9%, nearly 2% tick up from yesterday. And as a result, the OMCs declined in trade by as much as 2%. Also the fact that election verdict, we are nearing that. So therefore, word on the street is clearly that OMCs are not able to freely price fuels, and only after the election verdict is out, they'll have that kind of pricing power. So on the back of both of these, you're seeing a decline in OMCs right now.
Okay, so that's, of course, OMCs, all of them declining today in trade. Swati, another stock that we are seeing buying momentum is Britannia. Today as well, it's seeing some smart gains. What would you recommend viewers do with this one?
Mubina, as of now, we have seen that the Britannia is trading in a very sideways momentum. The momentum indicators such as the RSI is just trading in an oversold zone, which indicates that probably the selling pressure has been minimized at the current level. Also, the fact that it's just forming a rounding shape bottom at their lower levels. Upside, the 2730 is acting as a very strong resistance level. If it manages to give a breakout that level, then definitely this rally is likely to be extended towards the 2800 to 2840 level. So I will suggest at the current level, just hold on. But if the stock manages to give a breakout of 2730, then definitely it's a buy call from my end, with a stop loss of a 2680 for immediate target of a 2800 and 2840 on higher levels.
Okay, so that's a recommendation on Britannia. Voltas has delivered its fourth quarter numbers, and you are seeing the commensurate impact come in on the stock price. Now, interestingly, the numbers have not been good, but the stock has posted quite a nice rebound from the day's low, and in fact is now 0.4% higher. So we had a very, very anemic revenue growth of only about 0.7%, significant margin compression as well to single digits. This despite its peer doing much better than that, Blue Star, but Voltas was not able to do the same, and that led to a profit degrowth as well, a profit fall as well to come in of almost about 27% at 142 crore rupees. Brokerages as well, interestingly, we had Morgan Stanley, that was one brokerage that did maintain an overweight stance. They did say that the first quarter results are weak, but they are valuing the UCP business at 35 times the FY21 price to earnings. So that's an interesting recommendation coming in. Quite a nice bounce seen in the stock price today. Kunal, some of these, smaller PSU banking names have been showing a quite a good bounce. IOB has been one which we've been flagging off on the show. You have highlighted Orient Bank. What are you observing?
So yeah, many of the PSU banks individually. So there's a pattern of the fall being arrested. These stocks have not participated in the last leg of the correction on the markets. And when you see resilience in a sector which is building up, especially in tough times of markets, that resilience generally stays. Now, when you look at the charts for Oriental Bank, the stock which was about to test its 200 moving average has turned and moved up higher. The volumes in the last couple of days have just about marginally inched up higher. So it goes to show that the stock is now finding some good support at that 90-92 range. So keeping 92 as a stop loss, would recommend a buy on Oriental Bank for a target of 100 plus.
Okay, more result reactions then. Pranay, how were the numbers for Kalpataru Power?
Well, they were actually a good set of numbers. Revenue was up about 29% and profits also rose by about 30%. EBITDA margin stayed steady at about 10.7%, and they have been delivering numbers in line with the guidance. Also, the outlook for the year remains pretty good given the kind of orders that they have, and also they remain positive on the execution and construction of those kind of projects. The stock is up a little over 1% in trade.
Okay, so that's Kalpataru Power, gaining 1%. Swati, another stock that has been gaining for some time is Bharti Airtel. What do you make of this neat up move, steady up move we've seen in the telecom major?
Yes, Mubina, if we look towards a Bharti Airtel chart, it definitely look very positive. The fact that it is trading in an upward channel, higher tops and higher bottom in the pattern of this trading, so which indicates a very positive momentum in this particular stock. As of now, it is also the trading avoids all the important moving averages such as the 50, 100 and 200 DMA. Currently, from the last 2 days back, we have seen that the stock manages to take a 50 days moving average, which comes to at 310 levels, and we have seen just a bounce back rally from that current level. I believe this rally is likely to be extended towards 340 to 350 hold levels. So as of now, those who are having any long positions, they can definitely hold on with a stop loss of a 310 for immediate target of a 340 to 350 on higher levels.
Okay, so that's Bharti Airtel for you today as well. It's gaining very smartly and the gains have accelerated. It's now in fact at the day's high. Let's move on to an ET now exclusive, and the stock price of ICRA is down 2.2%. Now, sources tell ET now that it is under SEBI's radar after a whistleblower complaint accusing the top management for meddling to ensure that ILNFS gets a AAA rating. In fact, this complaint as well has been forwarded, and the ICRA board seems to have given a mandate to KPMG to look into the allegations. Now, the ICRA management has already disclosed that SEBI has started the adjudicating proceedings against the rating assigned to a client. They have not mentioned that it's ILNFS, and that they have appointed an external consultant to look into the accusation. So that's the development, but of course sources suggest that it is ILNFS indeed that is the subject matter of this accusation. Pranay, more result reactions then, and GSPL delivered its numbers, a nice 2% uptick today.
Yes, but interestingly what the brokerages are saying is that while the numbers may actually look good year on year, it's still a 7% miss on volumes, 9% miss on EBITDA and 16% miss on the bottom line according to CLSA. But because it's a pure play when it comes to India's gas story, therefore they maintain their buy stance and reiterate it with a target price of 270. That's a very handsome, nearly 40% premium from the current levels.
Okay, so that's GSPL 2% higher in trade. More result reactions. Then Shankara Bilcon has delivered its numbers. It's not looking all that pretty. I mean, we do have a revenue figure which has, it has come in lower by 19% at 548 crore rupees. And then we also do have the profit figure which has sunk to just 1.5 crore rupees. So quite a significant decline witnessed in the stock price, in the numbers for Shankara Bilcon. The stock price, however, is seeing some interesting traction, 2.8% higher. So quite a different move compared to what the numbers were putting out. Okay, well, unfortunately, we are out of time. So this is where we'll have to pause that countdown. Thanks to all of you for joining in. Pranay, Kunal, Swati. Swati, to you as well for sharing your technical strategies. Coming up next is Markets at Noon, where Pankaj and Karanya will take the market action forward.